While the West meticulously debates aid packages, often laden with strings and conditions, China has quietly signed Africa a blank check. A commitment of resources and opportunity, seemingly without the usual constraints. Zero tariffs on a vast range of goods. Zero taxes on key exports. One new gateway to power, influence, and economic transformation. This single policy decision, quietly announced amidst the grand pronouncements, has sent shockwaves through global trade, challenging established norms and power dynamics. For decades, Africa was shackled by trade barriers, often imposed by those claiming to offer assistance, and rules written in Geneva, far removed from the realities on the ground. Washington and Brussels, designed, some argue, to maintain the status quo, never truly for Africa's benefit, always serving other interests. China's move doesn't just bend the rules of international commerce, it shatters them, creating a new landscape of possibilities. The old system protected developed nations, ensuring their continued dominance, and kept emerging economies dependent on exporting raw materials at unfavorable prices. African nations were told to open their markets to foreign goods, but their own goods faced steep hurdles abroad, stifling growth and innovation. China's declaration is a direct challenge to this paradigm, a bold move that could reshape global trade. A fundamental restructuring of market access, offering a new path forward. The offer is simple, a straightforward proposition with potentially transformative consequences. Produce it, manufacture it, grow it, and you can sell it here, no penalty, no hidden fees. For Africa, long a price taker in global commodity markets, dictated to by external forces, this is a profound shift in power, a chance to set their own terms. Suddenly, a market of 1.4 billion people, with an ever-growing appetite for goods, is open for business. On equal terms, a level playing field that has long been denied. Imagine a Zambian copper miner finally able to directly benefit from the global demand for their resources, or a Ghanaian cocoa farmer seeing a greater share of the profits from their hard work. Having the same access to Chinese consumers as local producers, cutting out the layers of intermediaries. The old middlemen and Western buyers who have long controlled the flow of goods and capital are now potentially sidelined, their influence diminished. This is more than just economic policy, it's a shift in the global balance of power. It's a geopolitical statement, a challenge to the established order. The architecture of global power is being redrawn, brick by brick, deal by deal. The blank check has been signed, the commitment has been made. Now, Africa must decide how to cash it, how to leverage this opportunity to build a more prosperous and independent future. The announcement, a seismic shift in global trade dynamics, came at the 2025 Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. This wasn't just another meeting, it was a pivotal moment, a turning point in how the world conducts business with the African continent. A collective gasp rippled through the audience. A summit that just changed the rules of engagement, forever altering the landscape of international commerce. The implications were immediately clear. A new era was dawning. China will grant zero tariff market access, a bold and unprecedented move, opening its vast market to African goods without the burden of tariffs. This extends to all export products, encompassing a wide array of goods from every African nation that maintains diplomatic ties with China. It's a comprehensive commitment to fostering trade and economic growth. This goes far beyond anything the EU or US ever offered, dwarfing previous trade agreements and setting a new benchmark for international trade relations. For years, African leaders have tirelessly advocated for this kind of access, pushing for fair trade practices and the removal of barriers that have hindered their economic progress. But their requests were always met with resistance and stifled by bureaucratic red tape, leaving them perpetually on the outside, looking in. China's offer, in stark contrast, is unconditional, a testament to their commitment to a mutually beneficial partnership. It's comprehensive in its scope, covering all export products, and immediate in its implementation, promising swift and tangible benefits. The World Trade Organization, once the central authority in global commerce, is now increasingly on the sidelines, its influence waning in the face of these bilateral agreements. Beijing is no longer just a participant in the global trade system. It's a system shaper, actively setting new norms and redefining the rules of engagement for global trade, wielding considerable influence on the world stage. This transformative shift is the culmination of 2 decades of dedicated effort, building strong relationships and investing heavily in infrastructure projects across the African continent. The Belt and Road Initiative laid the groundwork, building the essential infrastructure arteries, and this zero-tariff policy now pumps the lifeblood of trade through them, ensuring a steady flow of goods and economic prosperity. A new world trade order, characterized by a powerful and dynamic Sino-African axis, is no longer a distant future possibility or a theoretical concept. It's today's unfolding reality, reshaping the global economic landscape in real time. What does zero tariffs on all African goods mean? Exactly what it says. No hidden clauses, no exceptions, no decade-long timelines. If it's made in Africa, it enters China tax-free, raw, or value-added. The simplicity is revolutionary. Tariff escalation, which discouraged African industrialization, is gone. No quotas, no arbitrary limits. Produce as much as you can, and China will buy. No political strings, no demands for market liberalization, no IMF oversight. The only requirement: goods must originate from Africa. It's a straightforward, unconditional offer. Your goods, our market, zero barriers. China's timing is strategic, not charitable. The world is shifting to a multipolar order, and Africa is the prize. China's Belt and Road built the infrastructure. Now, zero tariffs fill it with goods. The West is scrambling to catch up, but their offers are slow and conditional. BRICS is rising, and China is cementing its leadership in the global South. This policy also serves China's needs, securing resources, managing inflation, and cultivating future markets. China's message development through trade, not lectures. The gauntlet is thrown. The West must respond or risk irrelevance. Africa's producers are the biggest winners. For the first time, a massive market is open. No middlemen, no barriers. Ethiopian coffee cooperatives can now roast, brand, and export directly to China. In minerals, African countries can process and export higher-value products. Small and medium enterprises benefit most, as exporting becomes simpler and cheaper. The losers: Western intermediaries, European ports, and global trading houses that profited from the old system. The World Trade Organization's relevance is fading. Western buyers must now compete with China for African goods. The global stage has been reset, the game has changed, and Africa holds new cards. Across Africa, the response is electric. Governments are launching special economic zones and reforming trade policies. Entrepreneurs are forming cooperatives, scaling up production, and learning to ship directly to China. From cashew farmers in Guinea-Bissau to textile merchants in Accra, there's a surge of hope and ambition. Cooperatives are sharing knowledge, adopting digital payment platforms, and negotiating better deals. The benefits are spreading beyond big exporters to small businesses and innovators, but there are challenges. Infrastructure, power, and bureaucracy must be addressed. Market access isn't a silver bullet. It's an opportunity. The overwhelming sentiment, optimism, and readiness to seize the moment. A door has opened, and Africa's innovators are stepping through. The zero-tariff policy presents Africa with a pivotal choice, a fork in the road that will determine its economic destiny. Will the continent repeat the patterns of the past, or will it seize this moment to build a new, industrialized future? This is the question that hangs in the balance. One path leads to the familiar territory of exporting raw materials, a cycle that has historically limited Africa's economic potential. This involves essentially swapping Western buyers for Chinese ones, maintaining the status quo of resource extraction. But this path risks missing a crucial chance for real, sustainable development, perpetuating a cycle of economic stagnation. The other path offers a brighter prospect: to invest strategically in value addition, transforming raw commodities into finished goods. This means embracing industrialization, fostering manufacturing capabilities right here on African soil, and creating a diversified economy. This is the critical challenge now facing Africa's leaders, a challenge that demands vision, courage, and a long-term perspective. Will they make the bold decisions necessary to build refineries, transforming crude oil into valuable petroleum products? Will they invest in factories and processing plants, creating jobs and adding value to agricultural goods and other resources? If not, Africa risks deepening its dependence on raw exports, remaining vulnerable to global commodity price fluctuations. In that scenario, the wealth generated would largely stay concentrated in extractive sectors, benefiting a few while leaving many behind. This would result in limited job creation, hindering economic transformation, and perpetuating a cycle of inequality. Seizing the opportunity requires a multifaceted approach, starting with strategic investments in education, equipping the workforce with the skills needed for a modern economy. Reliable and affordable energy is also paramount, powering industries and enabling economic activity. And access to credit for entrepreneurs is essential, empowering them to start and grow businesses that drive innovation and create jobs. Ultimately, it requires a fundamental mindset shift, a move away from simply extracting resources. The focus must shift towards building robust industrial ecosystems where businesses can thrive and create value. The zero-tariff policy is not a magic bullet, but it is a crucial first step, marking just the starting line in this ambitious endeavor. The race to industrialize is now officially on, and Africa's future prosperity depends on its success. The West's response? Public silence? Private alarm? Media coverage is minimal, admitting China's move would expose their own shortcomings. EU and US officials are scrambling to assess the impact. The IMF and World Bank see their leverage slipping. China's offer comes with no strings attached. African nations with booming exports to China need fewer bailouts and less Western oversight. Western analysts warn of debt traps and standards, but these arguments are losing traction. Africa is tired of lectures. It wants trade, not conditions. The old order is struggling to adapt. The world is changing faster than the West can respond. The silence is telling. A new era is here. Africa stands at a crossroads. The key to prosperity is in its hands. Market access is no longer the issue. The real question: will Africa trade finished goods on its own terms or fall back into exporting raw materials? The answer lies in African capitals, boardrooms and workshops, not in Beijing or Washington. This is the moment to break the old colonial model for good. Leaders must invest in industry, fight corruption, and demand value addition from investors. The excuses are gone. The responsibility is Africa's alone. A new door is open. No taxes, no middlemen, no excuses. The future is unwritten. The world may write the headlines, but Africa now holds the pen. Only here, on Insight Africa.